Section 5, the competitive firms shown on supply curve. The firm's supply curve is a portion of the marginal cost curve for which marginal cost is greater than average variable cost. So shutdown point, over shutdown point. Okay, so marginal cost curve over average cost curve. That is figure 8.6. In the shown one, the firm chooses its output so that marginal cost is equal to price, as long as the firm covers its average variable cost. The shown supply curve is given by the cross-hatched portion of the marginal cost curve in this figure 8.6. The firm's response to input price change, that is figure 8.7. When the marginal cost of production for a firm increase from MC1 to MC2, then what happens? Anyway, market price is $5, right? Marginal cost is MC1 originally, then this company produced Q1 because price equal to marginal cost. So when the market is perfectly competitive, marginal revenue is equal to price, as I already said, right? Price equal to average revenue equal to marginal revenue. So Q1, but marginal cost curve shift upward because increase in cost, then what happened? The point, price cross marginal cost at this point. So production, profit maximizing quantity of production, Q2, smaller than Q1. Okay? And slide number 16, example. The shown production of petroleum products. Although plenty of crude oil is available, the amount that you refine depends on capacity of refinery and the cost of production. As a refinery shifts from one processing unit to another, the marginal cost of producing petroleum products from crude oil increase sharply at several levels of output. In this figure 8.86, he like this. As a result, the output level can be insensitive to some changes. So when producing this area, for example, production is over 10,000, for example, right? Then insensitive. But when your production is less than about 10,000, very sensitive to others, sensitive, right? Like this. And next we go section 6, the shown market supply curve. Until now we started the individual firms supply curve, right? So market supply curve here is summation of individual supply curve or firms marginal cost, right, at each price. Okay, that is figure 8.9. Here there are 3 companies, right? 3 companies in the market. The shown industry supply curve is the summation of the supply curves of individual firms. Because the third firm has a low average variable cost curve than the first 2 firms, the market supply curve begins at price P1. When price is P1, company, 2 firms, no incentive to produce. Only a third company can produce because price equal to marginal cost, right? So like this. And follows the marginal cost curve of the third firm MC3 until price equals P2 when there is a kink. So there we can find some kink at this point, right? When price is P2, first firm produce this amount of product, right? And firm 2 produce this amount of product, and firm 3 this amount. So summation of this one plus this one plus this one. That is here, okay? That is market supply when market price is P2. Same thing happening when price is P3. Firm 1 produced by this amount, firm 2 produce this amount, firm 3 produce this amount. So summation of this and that is this one, okay? In this way, so market supply, we can derive market supply curve. Now, elasticity of market supply, price elasticity of market supply. So we already started sort of this one. Price elasticity of market supply. That is simply percentage change in market supply, right? Large S, and percentage change in price. Okay, that is definition of price elasticity of market supply. Example 8.1. 5. The shown world supply of copper. Cost of mining, smelting, and refining copper differs because of differences in labor and transportation costs, and because of differences in copper content of the ore. Right? So there are last 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 countries supply copper at world market. Right? So market supply of copper is summation of all of these 9 individual countries' supply at each price, right? So each company have some marginal cost. Information for marginal cost is like this. Using this, we can derive shown world supply curve like this, right? That is slide number 19. The world supply curve is obtained by summing each nation's supply curve horizontally. The elasticity of supply depends on the price of copper. At relatively low prices, the curve quite elastic because small price increase leads to large increase in the quantity of copper supplied. At higher price, for example, say above $2.40 per pound, the curve become more inelastic because at those price, most produce would be operating close to or at capacity. The supply curve for copper is obtained by summing the marginal cost curve for each of the major copper producing countries. The supply curve slopes upward because the marginal cost of production ranges from a low $1.30 in Russia to high $2.06 in Canada, right? That is Canada's marginal cost curve, isn't it? Okay. Also, slide number 20. What is produce surplus in the shown? Produce surplus. Summation, sum over all units produced by a form of differences between the market price of good and the marginal cost of production. That is definition of producer surplus, right? So you already studied this kind of concept in introductory level microeconomics. Less than price over supply curve or marginal cost curve. So this area is producer surplus, right? So this area is producer surplus. Alternatively, it is equal to rectangle ABCD because the sum of all marginal costs up to Q star is equal to the variable cost of producing Q star. Okay, so this one or rectangle ABCD. The area of rectangle ABCD is equal to this AB, this kind of thing, right? In this figure. Okay, next slide. Shown market supply curve, produce surplus versus profit. Produce surplus is revenue, total revenue minus variable cost, right? That is definition of this one. Okay, I'd like to explain a little more about figure 8.11. Okay. So Y, Q, this price something, right? And average variable cost, and that is marginal cost, and price, that is price, market price, right? Then, and that is A, B, and that is Q star, and C. This point is C, A, B, C, and D. That is D. Right? So produce surplus is originally this area, isn't it? Right? This area. So mathematically, produce surplus in this definition is integration from 0 to Q star, right? Price minus marginal cost dq. That is produce surplus. That is this area. Okay? This area. And this area is perfectly same to this rectangle, actually. Second definition of produce surplus is this one. Okay? So that is when producing Q star, average variable cost is this one. Right? Price minus average variable cost. Right? Multiplied by Q. So how can I say? Price minus this one is average variable cost when you're producing Q star. Right? Multiplied by Q. Right? That is equal to price PQ minus average variable cost multiplied by Q. PQ is total revenue, isn't it? Right? Revenue. And average variable cost is Q over total cost. Right? So total cost divided by Q, multiplied by Q. So this one disappeared. And average total cost, right? So revenue minus average cost is second definition of produce surplus. Okay? So we go next slide. So produce surplus is revenue minus variable cost. Average, that is variable cost. Average variable cost multiplied by Q. Then variable cost divided by Q multiplied by Q. Q disappears, only variable cost left. Right? That is this one. And profit is total revenue minus total cost. Total cost is variable cost plus fixed cost. Okay? So profit is equal to R minus VC. This one is produce surplus, right? Minus fixed cost. That is profit. So you have to distinguish produce surplus and profit. Profit is smaller than produce surplus. Okay? Okay. Figure 8.12, produce surplus for market. The produce surplus for market is the area below the market price and above the market supply curve between 0 and Q star. Right? Less than price over marginal cost or supply curve. Okay? That is produce surplus. That is this kind of idea. Right? And slide number 22. Section 7, choosing output in the long run, right? Figure 8.13. Output choice in the long run. The firm maximizes its profit by choosing the output at which price equals long run marginal cost curve. Anyway, profit maximization condition is price is equal to basically marginal revenue when the market is perfectly competitive, right? Price equal to long run marginal cost. That is output decision in the long run. In the diagram figure 8.11, the firm increases profit from ABCD to EFGD by increasing output in the long run. In the short run, when price is this one, short run profit, this company enjoys positive profit ABCD in the short number, right? But in the long run, price should be equal to long run marginal cost curve. So production should be increased greatly in the long run, right? So long run profit is, in this case, this is rectangle, expanded rectangle like this. That is EFGD. The long run output of profit maximizing competitive firm is the point at which long run marginal cost equals price. Long run competitive equilibrium, accounting profit and economic profit. Economic profit takes into account opportunity cost, right? We already studied this. One such opportunity cost is the return to the firm's owners if their capital were used elsewhere. Accounting profit equals revenue minus labor cost, right? Labor cost is variable cost, so revenue minus variable cost, okay? That is accounting profit. So in this sense, accounting profit is very same to this kind of thing. So produce surplus, isn't it? Economic profit pie, however, equals revenue minus labor cost minus capital cost or fixed cost, like this, right? Zero economic profit. A firm is earning a normal return on its investment. It is doing as well as it could by investing its money elsewhere. So zero economic profit means no profit. But entrepreneurs receive some money based on its contribution, right? That kind of thing, so entrepreneurs' efforts is compensated, right, by cost already. So still firm operates, so produce, right? So zero economic condition profit means is not consistent, is consistent with some normal production, right? It's possible. Entry and exit. In a market with entry and exit, a firm enters when it can earn positive long-run profit and exit when it faces the prospect of a long-run loss, right? Free entry and exit. Next slide. Long-run competitive equilibrium. All firms in the industry are maximizing profit. No firm has an incentive to enter or exit. And the price is such that quantity supplied equals quantity demanded. Then we said long-run competitive equilibrium. All firms, individual firms, maximizing profit. And no entry and exit, right? And total supply is equal to quantity demanded. Demand equal to supply. I think the second one should be considered more carefully. Free, no incentive to enter or exit. No incentive to enter or exit. What's the meaning of this? If the firm enjoys positive profit, there exists incentive, new entry. Incentive for new firm enter the market to enjoy positive profit, right? But no incentive to enter or exit. If also a firm incurs some loss, existing firm have an incentive to going out, to exit, but no incentive to going out. So free entry and exit means no profit, zero economic profit in the long run. Okay, zero economic profit. When a firm earns a zero economic profit, it has no incentive to exit the industry. Likewise, other firms have no special incentive to enter. Okay, so free entry and exit means zero economic profit, basically. Long-run competitive equilibrium occurs when three conditions hold. Number one, all firms in the industry are maximizing profit. This maximized profit is equal to zero. Number two, no firm has an incentive to either to enter or exit the industry because all firms are earning zero economic profit. Okay. Number three, the price of product is such that the quantity supplied by the industry is equal to the quantity demanded by consumers. Demand equal to supply. Okay. Figure 8.14, long-run competitive equilibrium. Initially, the long-run equilibrium price of a product is $40 per unit shown in the market demand, market supply. Demand is equal, quantity demanded, market demanded is equal to market supplied when price is $40. So equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity, right? In this situation, for example, one individual firm, right? Firm enjoys a positive profit. Positive profit, right? In A, we see that firms earn positive profit if market price is $40, right? Then, in this case, a price greater than price is greater than price, and this firm produce Q0. Okay, look at this again. In A, we see that firm earns positive profit because long-run average cost reaches a minimum of $30, right? Market price is $40. Minimum marginal cost is $30. So a $10 profit, positive profit possible, right? Positive profit, then what happened? Firm enjoys positive profit. This encourages entry of new firm and causes a shift right in the supply curve to S2. Originally, market supply curve is this one. But if individual firm enjoys positive profit at this equilibrium price, new firms enter. That means industrial production expands. Number of firms increase. Then supply curve shift to the right like this until this point, $30. When market price becomes $30, then supply equal to demand at $30, right? At this price, $30, individual firms profit should be equal to zero, right? In zero economic profit for individual firm. So no incentive to enter and exit. Okay, that is explained. The long-run equilibrium occurs at the price of $30 as shown in A, where each firm earns zero profit, and there is no incentive to enter or exit the industry. And firms having identical costs. To see why all the conditions for long-run equilibrium must hold, assume that all firms have identical costs, identical cost structure, same marginal cost curve, same average cost curve, same production function, like this, right? If too many firms enter the industry in response to an opportunity for profit, the industry supply curve will shift to the right, as I said before, and price will fall, right? Demand the same, production increase, then market supply curve shift to the right, then price falls, okay? Only when there is no incentive to exit or enter can make market be in the long-run equilibrium. But in this firms having identical costs, right? Then this kind of thing happens. But we can think about the firms having different costs. Some firms are more efficient than other firms, right? That is second case, firms having different costs. Perhaps one firm has then this firm has a patent that lets it produce at lower average cost than all the others. In that case, it is consistent with long-run equilibrium for that firm to earn a greater accounting profit and to enjoy higher producer surplus than other firms. If the patent is profitable, other firms in the industry will pay to use it, right? So then other firms can purchase patents to produce in cheaper costs, right? Leading group, leading company. The increased value of the patents does represent opportunity cost to the firm that holds it. It could sell the rights to the patent rather than use it. If all firms are equally efficient otherwise, the economic profit of the firm falls to zero. Okay? Then inefficient firms' fixed costs increase, right? And next slide, the opportunity cost of land. There are instances in which firms earning positive accounting profit may be earning zero economic profit. So we already studied the difference between accounting profit and economic profit, right? And the argument here is that there are cases where firms earning positive accounting profit, but economic profit is equal to zero. Okay? Now, the example is this. If a clothing store is located near a large shopping center, the additional flow of customers can increase the store's accounting profit. Now think about, there is a big some shopping center, right? And two shops sell same goods. One located in front of shopping center, and the other located in the distant place of shopping center. Then the first shop have more customers, right? So can enjoy so positive profit. But economic profit is equal to zero. Why? Rental price of land, office, should be more expensive than that of other shop. So, in spite of some accounting profit, economic profit is equal to zero. Okay, that is explained here. Next, economic rent. Economic rent, amount that the firms are willing to pay for an input less the minimum amount necessary to obtain it. In earlier example, rental cost is higher than the other. Okay, that is economic rent. In a competitive market, in both the short and long run, economic rent is often positive even though profit is equal to zero. Produce surplus in the long run. In the long run, in a competitive market, the produce surplus that a firm earns of the output that it sells consists of economic rents that it enjoys from all scarce inputs. Okay? And choosing output in the long run, figure 8.15. Firms earn zero profit in the long run equilibrium. Okay? Now, in the long run equilibrium, all firms earn zero economic profit. In A baseball team in a moderate-sized city sells enough tickets so the price is $7 is equal to marginal and average cost, $7. But in panel B, the demand is greater, so $10. Ticket price is $10. The team increase sales to the point at which the average cost of production plus average economic rent is equal to ticket price $10. Okay, here $7. But in panel B, $10. But this $10 is equal to includes a rent, economic rent, $3 economic rent, for example, right? When the opportunity cost associated with owning the franchise is taken into account, the team earns zero economic profit, right? In B, ticket price is $10 instead of $7, but economic rent is $3. Okay, so economic profit is equal to zero. Section A, the industry's long-run supply curve. So there are long-run supply curve. There are three cases: constant cost industry, increasing cost industry, and decreasing cost industry. The contents are perfectly same to the contents you studied in Introduction to Economics, right? First case, constant cost industry. Constant cost industry means whose long-run supply curve is horizontal, right? Horizontal. So look at this. In panel B of figure 8.16, the long-run supply curve is in a constant cost industry. Is horizontal line SL, right? When demand increase, initially causing a price rise. The firm initially increases its output from Q1 to Q2. Price originally like this, right? So price is this one, P1. Now, demand increase like this. Okay, then this demand and supply, earlier supply curve S1 close at this point. So price increase to P2. Okay, at P2, now go panel A. P2 is equal to marginal cost. So firm wants to produce Q2. Okay, so price equal to marginal cost, and price is higher than average cost. In other words, the firm, each individual firm enjoys positive profit. Then what happened? New firms enter the market to share this, to enjoy positive profit, isn't it? Okay? Then supply curve shift, market supply curve shift S1 to the right side. This process continues until reach S2, right? In panel B. Then D2 is equal to S2 at price return to original price P1, right? Where individual firm enjoys positive profit. Okay? So we said this is a constant cost industry. Why constant cost industry? Supply increase, but individual firms cost structure same, right? Cost doesn't increase from the perspective of individual firm, right? So look at this. In B, the long-run supply curve when demands increase, initially causing a price rise, the firm initially increases its output from Q1 to Q2, as shown in A. But the entry of new firms causes a shift of light in industry supply because input prices are unaffected by the increased output of the industry. Entry occurs until the original price is obtained. Okay? That is a constant cost industry case. Now think about increasing cost industry. Increasing cost industry means industry whose long-run supply curve is upward sloping. Upward sloping happen. Why that happen? So anyway, we know that if individual firm enjoys a positive profit because market price increase due to shift of demand curve to the right. Okay? Then new firms enter the market to enjoy positive profit because price higher than original price. Okay? Then new firms enter the market. That means industrial industry supply and market increase and increase as new firms enter the market. Sometimes this leading to increasing individual firms' costs. Okay, so look at this. In this figure, panel A, original marginal cost curve, original average cost curve is like this. But production increase at industry level, then what happened? Marginal cost increase, average cost also increase, cost structure changes, right? Cost increase. Then the new price, so making firms profit, long-run profit is equal to 0 is this one instead of this one. That is P3 at here, right? Okay, look at this figure. In B, the long-run supply curve is an increasing cost industry, is above the sloping curve SCR. In sum is this one, SCR, right? When demand increase initially, causing a price rise, the firm increased their output from Q1 to Q2, right? So initially, demand curve shift from here to here. Then demand curve, original supply curve, and price is P2. Price increase P1 to P2, right? So at this price, each individual firm enjoys positive profit, right? Price equal to marginal cost. So firm produce Q2, okay, and enjoys positive profit. Then what happened? In the case, the entry of a new firm enter the market to enjoy positive profit, right? Number of firm increase, industrial production increase, then supply curve have to shift to the right, the S1 to this one and this one and this one like this, until long-run profit equal to 0, right? And as production increase, industrial production increase, marginal cost increase, average cost increase, marginal cost increase from here to here, shifted to the left, average cost also shifted to the above like this. And in this new cost structure, profit should be equal to 0 when price is equal to P3, right? Instead of P0, P1. Okay? So new short-run supply curve is this one, S2 and D2, so P3. So point B is another short-run equilibrium. Originally, equilibrium happened in A, where D1 shift equal to S1. At point B, D2 is equal to S2. If we connect A and B, we can get long-run supply curve SL. Okay? And our textbook do not explain decreasing cost industry. So practice for yourself. What happened in the case of a decreasing cost industry, right? Some long-run supply curve shift down, some downward sloping curve like this. Because marginal cost shift to the right, average cost shift to the downward like this. Okay, so long-run supply should be near here. Okay, next slide. So decreasing cost industry means industry whose long-run supply curve is downward sloping. Practice for yourself. Graphical illustration for yourself. And example 8.6. You have been introduced to industry that have constant increasing and decreasing long-run cost. We saw that the supply of coffee is extremely elastic in the short run. The reason is that land for growing coffee is widely available and the cost of planting and caring for trees remains constant. In other words, cost constant, remains constant as the volume product output grows. Thus, coffee is constant cost industry, featured by constant cost industry. Okay? And now second case is the oil industry. This industry is an increasing cost industry because there is a limited availability of easily accessible large volume of oil fields. Right? If you produce more oil, right, then cost for extracting oil will become harder and harder. More costs increase, right? So oil industry is case of increasing cost industry. Finally, decreasing cost industry. In the automobile industry, certain cost advantages arise because input can be acquired more cheaply as the volume of production increases. So automobile industry featured by decreasing cost industry. For example, to produce more than what happened. So these automakers can purchase lots of some parts and components, electronic parts and components with a cheaper cost than before, right? So marginal cost decrease and average cost decrease. So this industry is featured by decreasing cost. And next slide. The industry's the effect of tax. What happened after imposing tax? An output tax raises the firm's marginal cost curve by the amount of tax. Marginal cost increase like this, average cost increase like this. The gap between the two is tax, okay, from the perspective of individual firm. The firm will reduce it then. The firm, after imposing tax, new marginal cost is this one, right? And price is same to P2, so production should be decreased compared to earlier profit maximizing quantity. Okay, now think about from the perspective of industry level. Industry level, demand, supply, after imposing tax, supply curve is this one. The gap between the two is tax, right? An output tax placed on all firms in a competitive market shifts the supply curve for the industrial world by the amount of tax. This shift raises the market price of product and lowers total output of the industries, right? Like this, demand, supply. So price increase, production decrease at industry level. Sometimes I'll ask you this kind of some contents in the exam, but mathematical one rather than this graphical explanation, right? And long-run elasticity of supply, I'm sorry. The long-run elasticity of industry supply is defined in the same way as a short-run elasticity. It is a percentage change in output, the result from percentage change in price, same. In a constant cost industry, the long-run supply curve is horizontal, and long-run supply curve elasticity is infinitely large. A small increase in price will induce an extremely large increase in output, right? In an increasing cost industry, however, the long-run supply elasticity will be positive but finite. Because industry can adjust and expand in the long run, we would generally expect long-run elasticity of supply to be larger than short-run elasticity. In the demand case, same, right? The magnitude of the elasticity will depend on the extent to which input costs increase as the market expands. For example, an industry that depends on the inputs that are widely available will have a more elastic long-run supply than with an industry that uses input in short-run supply. So example 8.7. The supply taxi cab in New York. So total supply is like this. Anyway, some drivers have some license to run taxi. Right? There is a taxi cab in each city. So supply is like this. In this area, elasticity is very high, very elastic. But here, elasticity is no elastic, insensitive. Right? That is example. Okay, I'd like to skip example 8.8. So that is the United States case, quite different from Korea case. Okay, I'd like to stop here. Next, we study next chapter.